Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Silent Podcast, a place where everything but silent. As usual, I'm your host, Isaiah, back with the Bounce Checks podcast to talk about some Big Brother 24. I am here. It's a Saturday with my co-host, Katie. Katie, what's going on your weekend?
I wish I could say that I'm excited to talk about this, but like I was telling you right before we went live, I'm ready to just go all in on the chaos train. So we're here. Things are looking dire again. Maybe we'll get out of it on a bright side. I don't know. We'll see. But there's a lot to talk about. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to talk about, a whole lot of movement. Definitely a way different house that we were used to going in. Obviously, just getting finished with this whole split house situation and all that. So there's a whole lot of breakdown. Very excited to get down to it. But we are just now leaving a huge week where we just saw HOH from Turner on one side and an HOH. Who's the other? Terence.
Turner's now. I do. Yeah. Everybody's name starts with a T.
I was just about to say it was the double T lines, you know. But we saw Terence. We'll break down him in a second. That's a whole train. But I said Turner. My God, yeah. There's too many T's. But basically, long story short, one side was very straightforward and to the point the other wasn't.
Yeah. Exactly. Pretty much. And the problem is that we missed so much of what was going on. I think, when we talked last week, I don't think we had any wall yellers yet. I think Tito and I were like, yeah, bring on the wall yellers. And then they came. Not that we, maybe we helped manifest, but the whole internet was manifesting wall yellers. And then the feeds were down on the outside for pretty much most of the whole week. So we really don't know what actually went down, what didn't go down. So we're kind of operating in the dark a little bit.
We're,
trying to piece usual, little things together.
We're operating off of what Big Brother wants to show us,
Exactly.
So that's a fun time. So obviously on the one side, we see Jasmine leave. No more blindside Butterbean. No more one-liners about food or any of that stuff, Katie. So I mean, how do you feel about that? What's going on?
I think I'm going to miss her. She was a fun, weird presence on the show. We personally, not my favorite, but she did make me laugh a lot. And she was always, every clip I saw or every time she was on the feed, she was always saying something completely wild. So I kind of miss that energy, that weird chaos energy that she brought to the table. But I think she's going to be a pretty petty Betty in the jury, along with Indy and Joseph probably. So I think we're still going to get some more Jasmine towards the end of the season. I think she'll have her impact at the time of the vote.
Yeah,
can't wait to see what she says when she puts that key in. You know how they all have that little that second to make some speech. I cannot wait to hear what hers is going to be.
I hope it has something to do with food.
I hope so too. I'll be disappointed if it doesn't.
Yeah, this could be sweeter than apple pie or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
she'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, she was definitely an antagonist. Do I need to see Jasmine back? No, not really. But I mean, she's played her part in the season. Oddly enough, this is the second time ever a one-legged person has won an HO, a competition in general. I'm not even going to get into all that, but she's gone.
Did you see her run out to Julie in those heels?
Yeah, she was magically healed.
She miraculously was healed. Yeah,
yeah, that was something. But on the other side, we saw crazy week on the outside. It's funny that the inside was boring and the outside was kind of popping, but we got the outside. We saw Terence as we left off last week. Crazy HOH. Originally, he nominates Joseph and Turner, and then eventually, because before I even get to eventually, that's because Kyle kind of just threw the leftovers under the rug, and it just kind of blew up and turned to a huge mess. And I can't wait to break down this whole cast when we fix our rankings. But eventually we see Terence win another veto. We're not 100% sure what sequence events took place for this to happen. We have a general idea, but eventually, we see Terence use the veto and actually nominate Kyle. And ultimately, Joseph is gone. We see this whole new Afterparty, I believe that's the alliance. The Afterparty alliance is now formed. We don't know how solid that is due to this week's nominations, which we'll get into. But a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it's what's expected when you have like two different games of Big Brother being played at the same time, Katie.
Yeah, and I just think time has such a different way of working in the Big Brother house. Obviously, like you and I don't know what it feels like, but in general, a week is a long time, especially when you're isolated and you have nothing to do. So when you're away from this group of people that you are around 24/7 for a full week, it just gives such an opportunity for so many things to change. And that's really what we saw. Everything changed. The whole game is different. Joseph is gone. He had some parting words and threw some of his friends under the bus, I guess, to try and save himself. He said that there was a final three with Taylor, Monty, and Brittany, which is ridiculous. And that is kind of what is leading us to Turner just feeling solidified with the after party instead of, he was waffling a little bit. Well, Turner's our new HOH now. And we could talk about all of that. But yeah, I don't really know what Joseph's angle was there. I don't know why he thought that would have saved himself. I think everybody in the house right now was like, what was Joseph's angle saying all this stuff? So not the best look for our guy Joseph. I mean, he was playing. He was trying. He tried everything he could. It didn't work.
He was doing something. That's for sure.
Yeah. I don't know what, but he was doing something.
It was not the best, but
no,
you know, here
not
we
the
are.
best.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess we can talk about these rankings. Luckily, there's only two of us here, so
Yeah, we'll be quick.
we can do literally whatever we want.
Yeah,
I'm not going to keep the rankings on the screen the whole time because I don't feel like staring at the same chart for God knows how long.
Okay.
I'm gonna try a new approach today, but
All right.
yeah, so I guess we can jump into this, and we can just talk about everyone, and what's going on within their games right now. So obviously, this is what we're leaving off of. Jasmine and Joseph are now in the jury. I did not actually get a chance to look at their jury in media or anything, but what's it looking like there?
So I think from I haven't read a ton or listened or watched a ton of the exit press, but it seems like Jasmine is fully out on Brittany and on Kyle, and Joseph says he has no respect for Kyle's game. So I think if Kyle gets to the end, he's probably going to lose almost against anybody that he sits next to, maybe except Brittany. So we could definitely talk about that when we get to Kyle, but it seems like things are not looking good for, I would say our guy Kyle, but I'm not claiming him as our guy. So I'll claim Joseph as our guy, but definitely not Kyle. But those are really the main takeaways there.
Imagine like a Terence beat against Kyle. What a big upset that would be.
Isaiah, that's what I told you before we went live. But that's kind of what with the nominees and the way that things seem like they're playing out. I'm rooting for a Terence Kyle final two and Terence for the upset. I think that would be the funniest, most chaotic outcome of this whole season. So that's where I'm at right now.
All right. Well, I mean, we can get to him literally after Alyssa. So, I mean, we might as well start off. So, Alyssa, Katie. And I don't feel like staring at this sheet the whole time. Alyssa.
Yep.
So what are we feeling about Alyssa's game right now? I mean, we have a lot of like comparisons to Jackson, Mickey, and Holly. I don't think Alyssa is like a Holly, though. I honestly don't. I think Alyssa's kind of her own entity in the game. How do you feel about her?
I think I can see the comparisons, but Holly was playing the game and Alyssa's not playing the game. Alyssa's just chilling. I don't really know what she's up to. She's not playing competitions. Holly was winning HOHs and vetoes. I don't know if she won any vetoes, but I know she won some HOHs. And there was a point where her and Jackson were just handing off week after week after week of winning. And they basically lived in that HOH room for like a month. This is not happening with Alyssa. She's not winning anything. And even Turner, when he was debating on who to put up, was like, I don't know that we can count on Alyssa to take us to the end because she's not winning anything. She like doesn't even understand the competition. So she's really just like hanging out. She's subtly, not so subtly, letting Brittany know that she knows about the leftovers. She's just like, are you sure you're not lying to me about anything? Like she's just not, she has no game sense in her. I guess she's lucky that she has Kyle. She had an interesting conversation with Taylor earlier today. And it seems like they connected a little bit, and Taylor was kind of telling her about some of the things that she was going through earlier in the game and was saying, you know, like, I had to get close to a guy like Joseph for anybody to have any respect for me in the game. And Alyssa seemingly felt bad and was like apologizing. We'll see what her true thoughts are when she talks to Kyle and Turner. But I don't know. I think she'll make it far. I don't think anybody's evicting her because of the alliance and the after party that they're seemingly are solid in. But I don't know that she wins against anybody other than Kyle at this point.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like she's like dead locked in for like fourth or fifth place here. Um,
Yeah.
I think she's not a big enough fish to fry like anytime soon. It's like why take out Alyssa when you can go take a shot at
Yeah.
like a Kyle. You could take a shot at Monty. You could take a
Yep.
shot at Michael Taylor. You know, the, like more active players out there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like
Definitely.
she's within the fold, but like she's not really like an entity or like a threat in any way, shape, or form. And she's filler, if we're
Yeah.
going to be honest. Her best chance of winning is going to the end with her showman. So I mean, she has the right idea. But
Yeah,
it's
I think
like,
she wins against Brittany too. Actually, I think
yeah,
anybody pretty much wins against Brittany. So if
mm,
she can get the vibe there that people don't like Brittany, and she's smart enough to take her to the end, if she gets there. But I don't see any scenario that could possibly happen.
yeah. So there you go with that. We actually have her ranked in F last week.
Yeah.
We have all the power. No Josanne, no special
Mm-hmm.
guest. We
Mm-hmm.
get to do whatever we want. Are we keeping her enough?
I think we keep her an F. I don't know. What do you think? I mean,
Yeah.
I see her getting at least to, like you said, 4, maybe even 3. I mean, I think she gets to the end. The thing is that she has Turner also kind of locked in with her. Turner's like really all in with Alyssa, and I don't get it. He's just like, you're my best friend. And so I think he would probably take her over Kyle to the end.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe that puts her up to a D, but I think F for now. We'll see what happens.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think, and this could be, I could be completely wrong here. I don't think anyone's an F this week.
Okay.
Personally, I don't.
I don't necessarily disagree with you
Yeah,
there. So we can move her up to D if you want.
like I will put her in D, and I mean, obviously, we'll get to those in a little bit, but I don't think anyone's actively playing a bad game to the point where
Hmm.
it's like, all right, you have no shot whatsoever of winning. You know, like that to
Yeah.
me is where, like, all right, like no shade, big D. Like you're not going to get any jury
Right.
votes
Right.
whatsoever. That's a bad game to me. You know, where all right, I could see some of these people getting some votes. You know, so
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't see anybody winning unanimously
no,
because even if Kyle gets to the end against anybody, he's getting Alyssa's vote no matter what, unless something drastic happens. So I don't think there's going to be a unanimous win here for
well, I
sure.
mean, it's not like I mean, even unanimous wins. Like, there's only been 2 of those in Big Brother
Right.
history. So I mean,
Hmm.
uh, 2, 3,
Well,
2.
Tashawn won also unanimously, I
Sorry,
think,
yeah,
in Big
yeah.
Brother 9. But yeah,
So
Canada 9.
yeah, you know, so I'm like I'm iffy. I think like a lot of these votes with some of these people like Alyssa, Terrence, Kyle when we get to them, maybe Brittany too. They'll snag 2, maybe 3 vote.
2,
Like they'll
yeah.
be close-ish, but
Hmm.
they're not going to be any blowouts, you know. So that's the only reason why I'm like, all right, not F, not right now. But I like that can easily change within like a flip of a dime. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, I
uh,
agree.
next we got Terrence.
My
Did
guy.
Terrence have a successful HOH? Like I'm curious. You were telling me you're rooting for Terrence now. What's
Well,
going on?
in my chaos scenario, I'm rooting for Terrence because right now, the Turner's HOH, the nominations are Brittany and Taylor with a Michael backdoor plan.
Okay.
Unless Michael wins the veto, he's getting backdoored and he's going home. If he doesn't win the veto, or if he does win the veto and then takes down Brittany, then Taylor's going home. Pretty much, we're losing Michael Taylor almost guaranteed this week. Maybe if they decide to put Monty up as a replacement, if one of them comes down, if Michael wins the veto, I think that's the only way that happens. Then maybe they decide to take the shot at Monty, even though Monty was pretty locked in with them yesterday and was kind of, the pound strong. I still don't think that they would necessarily fully agree to not take that shot. So there's nobody left to root for at this point. Like they're just going to be seemingly taken out one by one unless, Monty flips again next week. So all I can do is say, you know what? Terrence is playing a rat game. He can lie like nobody's business. I mean, like he can lie to everybody's face, think that everybody thinks they're good with him. He's not going to get targeted moving forward. They're all going to shoot at each other. And if he's sitting next to Kyle at the end, all I want is for Kyle to lose. And I think the funniest scenario
Oh
at this
man,
point is for Kyle to lose against Terrence. That will be to have
DJ
Terrence as a
Terrence.
Big Brother winner will be the funniest thing to me. And that's the outcome I think I'm rooting for at this
He
point.
wouldn't even
That
be the
doesn't mean I
worst.
like the guy, but
Yeah,
like I'm rooting for the chaos.
I don't even think he would be the worst either, which is crazy.
No, I don't think he would be the worst
He's
either.
going to be down there, of course. Like, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong,
bottom
but like,
tier, but probably not the
yeah,
worst.
that's crazy. You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy that two competitions can change someone's trajectory that high, right?
And one competition
Um,
that he didn't even win. He came in second place.
yeah, like he was able to carry enough plastic trees to the
Yeah.
table, and
Yep.
that made him the winner. So
Yep.
who knows? Seth in the chat said, "Who's better to drive the chaos
Right?
bus?"
Exactly.
DJ
Other than
Terrence.
DJ Showtime, the bus driver himself. I'm there for it.
All right. So I mean, in terms of Terrence here, I can't keep him in F either. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I
No.
don't think Terrence. I think he's the top of D right now, personally.
Yeah, I almost would put him in C.
This close,
Almost.
right?
It's
Yeah, I'm
close. He
close.
had a good HOH last week. I mean, he did when
Yeah,
he got a big target out. He did what he said he was going to do. He got all of the information. Kyle ratted to him immediately, and then
yeah.
Joseph ratted everything else out to him immediately. So Terrence, probably more than anybody in the house right now, has a full view of what's been going on around him. And I think that puts him in a good spot because nobody really knows that either. Like they know that he has an idea about the leftovers. They think Joseph told him. I think, Kyle's already trying to make sure that he feels like Terrence is valued in their alliance. Like I think they really see Terrence as an asset. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. And he could potentially win another competition. Like we don't know. We really don't know.
Gonna have a DJ competition, Katie.
We might have a DJ comp, maybe
Yeah,
karaoke comp.
a karaoke.
You never
comp.
know. You never know.
Oh man, he's gonna get to the jury and questioning and be like, "I took out Joseph. I blew up the
That's
leftover."
exactly what is
Like,
going to happen.
and
Yeah.
then I put Kyle up right next, like that. Yeah, that would be so funny. Yeah, I'm gonna put him top of D right now.
Yeah.
I want to see what he plans on doing because, like, who is his closest allies right now? Like, that's the only thing stopping me
Turner,
from putting him in C.
Alyssa. I think Turner
Like,
and Alyssa are his top two allies right now. I don't think he trusts Kyle. He definitely doesn't trust Monty. He doesn't really have anything with Michael and Brittany.
yeah,
Taylor was making some inroads with him last night, but again, Terrence is such a liar that like he seems like he's good with everybody to their face. And
yeah.
you just don't know what he's actually thinking.
It's like who is planning on taking Terrence to the end? That's the real question.
I think they probably see him as a goat, and I think that that's going to surprise some people especially if
Yeah.
Kyle's like, this is who I'm taking, Terrence. I'm going to beat him no matter what. I'm the best at this game. And then he doesn't realize that the jury is completely bitter against him across the board. I think Terrence would probably take him to the end too. Maybe.
Over Alyssa?
Turner. Did I say Terrence? Turner?
Oh, you said Terrence. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. See,
got
I
it.
did it too. It's those T's. Yeah. I think Turner could take him to the end. I think that's a toss up between him and Alyssa.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to used to be upper echelon Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
What a drop from greatness.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened here. I think I don't think the move to expose the leftovers was that bad. But my issue was I think he did it at the wrong time. I think he should have
Yeah.
waited a little bit more. Or even like you could get Joseph out without throwing the leftovers under the bus, Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
I
think
think.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like even if you look at it, like obviously as a showman's with Alyssa, I don't think Turner will have any ill will if you turn on Joseph because you can subtly do something without exposing the whole alliance. You could just be like, hey, Terrence, I think you should take out these two. They may have an alliance. I understand, and like Terrence isn't going to know anything. He's not going to expose you. As far as I'm aware, we didn't get to see half of the feeds, but like there was better ways of handling this. Even if you expose the leftovers to Alyssa, you don't need to expose it to Terrence. Like you gave Terrence so much power this week.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. Like you single handedly gave Terrence a whole new perspective of the game, and now he has a chance to win. So I don't know. How do you feel about him?
No, I agree. I don't think it was the worst thing for him, like you mentioned, but I just don't feel like, I think he put himself in the position to have to do that because of how hard he fought for Alyssa the week before. And I think he put himself at the bottom of the leftovers. He just seems to do this all the time, right? It just feels like he's insulated and he's doing well. He had pose pack, everything was fine. He didn't have to
I
turn
forgot
on
about that.
them. And he did, right? Because he found out about old school. So it's like the second he gets a piece of information or like gets something that like sticks out in his head, he drops what he had before and then he goes into this new thing. And eventually it's just going to come back to bite him. It's like he's actively like playing ahead maybe too far because all of these people in the house that he's wronging are still there and
Yeah.
they're starting to put some of these pieces together. I think that it is a little weird, especially with a Michael in the house. Like Michael is starting to understand that like this doesn't really make sense that Joseph would say all these things. Like maybe it's some of it, but like do we think maybe it was Kyle? And I think they're really starting to realize that like Kyle is the catalyst, which it doesn't make sense because going outside, he had a good relationship with Michael and Brittany. Now he's throwing that in the trash. If they do stay and Michael could potentially win HOH next week, if he wins the veto this week, Kyle's going on the block with Alyssa and Kyle's probably the one going home, not Alyssa. So I think if Monty is, I don't know what's going on with Monty and we can talk about it more when we get to Monty, but like, I don't know where his head is at. So it's like, he could very easily also decide to take a shot at Kyle next week if he wins. So it's like, I don't know. I think he's playing with fire a little bit and he's putting all of his eggs in a basket of people who can't really win. I also think Terence is too much of a wild card. Like Terence is not loyal. So he might be loyal to you now because you give him this information and it's good for him, but he might not be loyal to you in a couple of weeks from now when you really need him to be. And he just pulls out a comp win. Or maybe he wins that Final Four veto. I mean, like who knows? So yeah, I don't know what's going on with Kyle. He's just seeming like it's coming apart at the seams. Also, Michael said if he's not going to win this game, he's going to do his damnedest to make sure that Kyle doesn't win this game either. And he's talking about exposing all of Kyle's racism and Cookout 2.0 fake theories. So we'll see what happens after the veto, but there's a good chance that Michael is going to expose Kyle for who he is. And it also sounds like, I didn't see this fully, but I saw some mentions of it on Twitter, so I could be wrong, but it sounds like Brittany exposed to Alyssa that Kyle made the cookout. Made the leftovers, not the cookout. Oh my God. Kyle made the leftovers based on information that Alyssa had given him and that he started the alliance, which he conveniently left out when he told Alyssa. Not that she's going to do anything about it because we know how she is, but it's just, he's still lying to these people. So if that gets back to Terence, who knows what Terence is going to do?
I mean, Terence does anything. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
It's like I don't know. I think he threw a whole lot of stock away just for Alyssa. Like because I mean that's ultimately what he's doing here. It's funny, like until the whole floaty situation, like he was completely out on Alyssa, so that she was ruining his game. Was saying that she can't keep up with him strategically and all this stuff, and then now you just threw everything away for that.
For 10 seconds.
I mean, like what's the issue with just waiting till the show is over? Like we've seen plenty of other things. Gino and JC Lane, they're thriving actually. They
are thriving.
Yeah,
I'm actually surprised by that. Good for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like just wait till after the show, you can try it out. But
I think they consummated their relationship in the show too. But we don't have nighttime feeds in Big Brother Canada, so they have the freedom to do whatever they want.
Yeah, I don't know. He definitely screwed this up. In terms of Kyle, I'm not completely out on him yet, but I do think he's put himself in a position to lose to an Alyssa, and that's
I think he loses to literally everybody except Brittany, maybe, and Brittany I still think could beat him at the end if Michael and Taylor are in jury telling all of the stories about and Joseph. I mean, Joseph is going to be dragging this guy to everybody that comes in, and we know Joseph can talk, so I don't see Kyle winning this game. Like he could get to final 2, but I don't think he's going to win.
Yeah. So for that reason only, I'm putting him at the bottom of D.
Yeah, I think he should go at the bottom.
And if Michael ends up exposing anything, then he's automatically enough. That's the only thing that's stopping me. Until then, he's D, but very slim chance.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
There you go. Moving up to the C tier. Next, we have Turner. Very interesting game from Turner, right? Because last week he was presented an option to basically screw over the leftovers with Kyle and jump ship to the after party, which ultimately we see him do. I don't think is the wrong read because there's only two options, right? Terence is going to eliminate Joseph no matter what. So Joseph is always leaving. So you either A, give a sympathy vote as a jury member, which I think is a little interesting. And we can talk about that. And hopefully the remnants of the leftovers being like Taylor and Brittany and Monty, that's what you ride out with. But I don't think Turner thinks that he has a chance with those individuals, which rightfully so. I don't think so. He think he has either. So he obviously jumped ship to the group of unlikable people, where he probably beat most of them in a jury vote. If we're going to be honest,
Yep.
we could talk about that too. But it's like there's also the scenario that he won HOH, which that's not guaranteed, so I don't blame him. But he's HOH, and now his nominations are can you remind me?
Taylor and Brittany.
Taylor and Brittany with a potential Michael backdoor. I don't know. If you're fully going this route, fine, whatever. And I actually think blindsiding Michael is a perfect opportunity for his own game. But it just gets iffy. You're going to piss a lot of people off going in. I'm curious. How do you feel about all of this?
So I was thinking a lot about this as it was all playing out after Turner won the HOH. I was like, oh, the season's done. Like we're done. He's full in with the after party. This sucks. And then when he came back in, he was like telling Brittany, you're safe. You're not hitting the block. He is basically playing the same HOH that Taylor played, that she got dragged for, but no one's dragging Turner in the same way, which is very interesting to me because he went around to everybody saying, you're the first person that talked to me. You're safe. You're not touching the block. Who's on the block right now? Brittany. So he lied. He didn't give her a heads up. Like it. That's the part to me where I'm like, I don't know. So it seemed like he was making a decision between like, okay, I'm going to stick with the leftovers. He did say, I think after seeing Alyssa's performance in the competition, that he's like, I can't go to the end with Alyssa. Like we can't count on her to save us in the event that we need saving, because she just can't win competitions. Like I guess it took her a long time to understand what was going on with the like I don't really know. I guess we'll see it play out on Sunday's episode. But he seemed like when he went to bed that night, he was going to put up Taylor and Alyssa, and Kyle was spiraling. And he woke him up at like 7:00 in the morning, still dark in the HOH room. He walked in, Turner's like half asleep, and he's like, we can't do this, man. And he was just kept saying, this is bad for my game. This is bad for me. Alyssa's going to chop my balls off. Like he just kept saying, and Turner's just like, yeah, 1,000,000,000%, 1,000,000,000%. And I know a lot of people at that moment were like, Turner's done. He's turned. I didn't think so, because I was just like, he probably just wants this guy to get out of his room. Like, I don't think that Kyle crying to him about how it's bad for his game is going to change anything. But then Monty came in, and Monty basically was like, yeah, you should put up Taylor and Brittany, and then we can backdoor Michael. And then that gave Turner the full confidence that he's like, you know what, I can keep Monty on my side, and now I'm more insulated, and we'll isolate the three of them. Then I'm good. Like now I have the rest of the house on my side and I'm good. But until Monty came in, I don't think he was fully convinced that the after party was the way to go. Now that Monty's there, I think he feels more confident. So I think it ended up being a good move for Turner to do that. But I also think, like, depending on who wins HOH next week, like Turner could very easily go up on the block and go home.
I mean, also taking this in consideration, like the leftovers are not the cookout. The cookout's the only alliance to get all their members to the end. This is not that alliance. I honestly thought that the leftovers blowing up was like bound to come very quickly. Like honestly, who's left that's not in the cookout? It was literally Terence, Jasmine, and Alyssa. Like it's over at that point. So I don't blame him for actually making the move now. It's like the alliance has been over since the moment Joseph left out that house. And it's every man for themselves at this point. So it's like, if you're not displaying the ability to be adjustable, like you're kind of falling backwards, which unfortunately when we get to Taylor, that's kind of the criticism I have there. So it's like, I think he's making a smart decision, especially if Monty is backing this decision. I think he needs to make a final two somewhere. I don't really know who he wants to sit in the end with. I don't know anyone who wants to necessarily sit in the end with him. So like that's a problem, and honestly a big problem this season. I don't see many people utilizing this HOH room to the point where it's like you're supposed to be cutting deals,
right?
And I don't see a lot of like people really establishing final twos in this house outside of looking at the screen. Michael Kyle and Alyssa Kyle, like that's it. There's no final twos.
Michael
I don't
Brittany,
know,
but
sorta, but barely, so it's like these people don't really have solidified bonds anywhere, and it's like you guys are just kind of hoping for the best. And I think this is why this is such a chaotic ending to the season. No one has anything like tight knit with anyone, so we don't know what's going on.
Right.
So with the current house structure, I think it's a fine move. It just depends on how he operates from the rest of the season, because I don't think he has a plan. I think he's just living day by day, and that's not
Yeah.
the smartest way to handle it.
I also think like the move for Turner this week should have not to win HOH and just figure out how everything was going to shake out and then just go with the side that ended up being the strongest. Because he had every opportunity. Like, it made sense for him to vote out Joseph. He was not the one that exposed the leftovers. Kyle didn't give him any agency in that situation. So he had an excuse. He's like, listen, he could always just point it back to Kyle and say, well, Kyle fucked us. So, like, I had to jump ship and I had to make this fake alliance, but I'm still sticking with you guys. If that's the way the house shook out and a leftover won HOH. If the after party won HOH, he could have just been like, well, this is what the house wants, and like played the middle. But he put himself in a position where he had to be the one to take a shot at the leftovers, which didn't really make sense to me. And I guess maybe we'll see with the comp. I think it was like the tiny veto, which is now, I guess, the tiny HOH. So I don't know if you can see how well other people are doing. But it seemed like a comp he really didn't have to and shouldn't have won for himself. Because now he has enemies. If Michael stays in the house, if Taylor stays in the house, if Brittany stays in the house, we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, he has to do what he has to do, right? I think he's playing for survival. There's also a clip of him out there, or a tweet out there saying that he said that he jumped ship from the leftovers to Kyle and Alyssa because he feels like that they're going to be America's favorite and he wants to be with the people who are popular. I don't know. I didn't see it myself. I just saw the tweets about it. But if that's the case, that's a bad read.
Womp womp.
Yeah, real bad read.
There you go. I'm also just fearful that my friend, sorry, my friend is the one who said this, and it came to my mind. He said that he doesn't think that Turner is going to turn on the showmance. Just giving me Cliff Hogg vibes, I'm scared about that, so I need to see at least some willingness to want to turn on that, like cut a final two with Terence. Why not?
That's who I think is the best person for him to make a final two with, is Terence.
And realistic.
It's not realistic for him to go to the end with Kyle and Alyssa. They're going to take each other. I mean, it's Cliff Hogg vibes, right? And it's like maybe he's the Nicole Anthony of the situation where like he gets to the 3 and no matter what happens, like is not making it to the end. It just, I don't really know. It seems like Alyssa has a hold on him for some reason, and it's very weird. Like he's all in with Alyssa, and I don't get it.
I mean, maybe once the floaty situation happened, Alyssa told Turner before anyone else. So maybe there's some friendship there that we're just not privy to.
They're literally saying to each other that they're best friends. And I'm just like, why? Like, for what reason? What is the reason? Yeah, it's
no
weird.
clue. But there you go. In terms of ranking, I will put him top of T. I don't think he's doing horrible, if I'm going to be honest with you. I agree with you. Seth actually said similarities between this season and BB21 keeps popping up.
It's really true.
Agree. Yeah.
This is like Bizarro season 21.
Yeah. So I definitely will put him here. Until he makes that deal, I can't really put him up another echelon. I just don't know what his end game plans are. Maybe he's hoping to like someone takes out Kyle, then him and Alyssa go to the end, maybe. I don't know. But even then, I don't know if that's the best scenario for him,
Yeah, I mean, Jasmine hates him. I don't know how Joseph feels about him after everything that took place. So I don't know. I don't know what his win equity is going to look like.
We'll see. Okay. Next player we're going to talk about is Miss Taylor Hale.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, oh man. Taylor, it feels like she's going through it since the whole Joseph situation, which is understandable. But I need to remember that she's in Big Brother, and it's time to adjust. I don't think she's really moving on with the game. Honestly, what she should be doing is making moves instead of here's the thing. In Big Brother, this is a constant issue that I'm seeing a lot of people do is when something crazy happens, they spend the whole next week kind of trying to play detective and find out what happens instead of living in the now. You're in the now, you're nominated. The leftovers is over. It's time to move on. I think she should be. I mean, she should continue to be making deals. She needs to work some magic on Monty because obviously Monty was willing to just like give her up so easily. She needs to be working her magic on all the girls, to be honest. So Alyssa and Brittany, even though it seems like Alyssa doesn't really like her, at least attempt. Like even talk to Turner more, or Terence. And they're not the best of friends either, but like something. Like I
Yeah.
just need something, and she's not really giving me that. How do
She
you feel
did put
about
in
her?
some good work with Terence last night. I think, she
Okay.
sat in the room with him in that back room, that whatever room it is that they sleep in,
Yeah.
and was kind of explaining to him her thought process about why she put him up that week. And she was saying, I was told by someone that I trusted that you wanted to get me out, so you felt like a threat to me. And, I don't, again, you never know how Terrence takes these things because he keeps his face so straight
Yeah.
that, like, and he just feeds bullshit back to you. And it's like, you cannot tell that he's lying. Like, he
Yeah.
seems sincere in everything that he says, but everything he says is basically a lie. So it seemed like maybe it went over well with him. I don't really know, but
Yeah.
she did put in the work and she had a genuine, at least from her end, it seemed, conversation with him. So I think that was good on her part. And she did have a good conversation with Alyssa, that I think Alyssa did take away from that conversation, that she would rather work with Taylor than Monty, and that she trusts Taylor more than Monty, and that Monty doesn't talk to her at all. So I think the work that she put in with Alyssa did work a little bit, but only going to go so far if this house continues to stack up the way that it's stacking up. It's like we're on the flip side now of the leftovers, where the remnants of the leftovers are going to be the ones that are picked off by these other people unless they're winning competitions. So I just don't know how far it's going to take her. Maybe just another week, and then another week from there, and then maybe she could start winning some stuff. Like, you never know. But she could stay this week. She's pretty much guaranteed to go if Michael's not on the block right now, unless like some miracle happens. Brittany's also spiraling, so that could work in Taylor's favor, because
Yeah.
Taylor's not. She's keeping it pretty cool. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it just, the outlook isn't looking great for Taylor, unfortunately. Which is, I mean, we could say that about the whole season, but it seemed like last week when she was inside, things were finally looking up. She was making really good inroads with Monty, and then like we just saw him turn out of nowhere. It's just very weird. But yeah, I don't know. I'm worried for her.
Yeah. There you go. In terms of Taylor, I might have to drop her down. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I would put
And
I
go
don't
ahead, say
even
it.
know.
Say it.
I was gonna say top of D, but maybe Terrence would be above
I
Taylor.
was gonna say I might put Terrence above her right now, which is wild, but it's like
Yeah.
I feel like Terrence is such a swing vote right now, and such a non-factor that people are not going to turn on him, and they're sleeping on the guy. Obviously,
This
we
is a
don't.
core reason, by the way, that we should never say you're wasting an HOH on someone, because this man has been on the block since week one, and now all of a sudden he's winning competitions, and he got a little taste of power, and he has all the information out in the house, and he has a path to the end, which is just, they should have gotten him out a long time ago. They should have listened to
Listen,
Taylor. That's
they
what they
should
should
have
have
listened
done.
to Terrence when he said, "Take me out." Instead of
Yes, they should have. They should
a
have.
Oh, here we are. He could be like, "I told you guys to take me out, but you didn't do it." um,
Crazy.
okay. And now we have another person who honestly might drop to D for me as well, which is
I
Brittany.
say drop her right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop her right here. If I'm gonna
I
be
think
honest with you,
I think that's right.
yeah, I like Brittany. Another one like fall from grace here. I mean, she's technically not really been in like good like in good eyes with like most of the jury to begin with, but it's like I don't think she's really effectively made any inroads with people for them to like really like her.
Yeah.
Like, is she playing well with the strategy side? She's solid. Like I think that she knows how to survive and stick in the middle. But she hasn't left anyone leaving the house with like any positive like thoughts about her. Like unless I'm wrong, the only person I
No.
can think of who really likes her is like Taylor and like maybe Turner. But like Brittany seems to like piss a lot of people off. A lot of people find her annoying. She's just kind of like out there, like she doesn't give genuine vibes. It kind of comes off fake sometimes. So it's been pissing people off. And like you said multiple times this podcast, outside of Kyle, she has some of the worst work jury management I've ever seen in general.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but here we are.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's weird. I think I don't get the same vibe. Obviously, I'm not in the house, but like people really do not like Brittany for some reason. Like Jasmine was talking in her exit press about how fake she was. Indy was saying that she was like mean and made her feel bad. They're kind of just like flippantly throwing her away in the house. No one really feels loyal to her other than Michael. And I think they all see her as playing in Michael's shadow, which, you know, she's won competitions. I don't count OTEV as a win for her because it was a Festy Bestie win, but Michael won that. She was out first. Like, she benefited from that veto, but I don't consider that a win for her. But that the one where they were doing the puzzle and she had to pull Michael, like she put in a lot of work for that. And then with the stay or fold veto, like we know Michael threw it, but he didn't do a great job at throwing it because he was really close to all the answers. So I mean, I still count that as a win for her. But even Michael today is like, Taylor's better at competition, so might be better to keep. If I win the veto, it might be better for me to take Taylor down, which I don't think he would actually do when it comes to practice. But yeah, I don't see a path for Brittany. I think she spirals out of control. Like she was sobbing last night, and even Terence was like, you just need to breathe and like chill. Like just because you're on the block, and Turner was saying like, oh, there's a final three between you, Joseph, or you, Monty, and Taylor, or whatever. She's just like, it's not true. It's not true. And she's freaking out when Taylor is just like, I don't know why Joseph would say that. Like, I'm not sure. And she's like trying to get to the bottom of it a little bit more without like having a panic about it. And I think Brittany's just going to play herself into a situation where everyone's just like, we got to get her out of here because she's just unpredictable. She's already throwing Taylor into the bus yesterday. And it's like, this is like one of your only allies in this house. Like, keep it together.
Yeah. So, I mean, here we are with her. I mean, like I said, we're on the outside, so we don't know.
Yeah.
But like, I don't like fake people either. Like, you know, people who just don't come off genuine. So I completely agree. It's just we're coming off this season. I mean, outside of like a few squabbles on social media and stuff, we're coming off of Big Brother 23, where it's like super kumbaya and all this stuff. I feel like a lot of this cast is going to hate each other once they get out, so it's going to be such a mess.
There's going to be no Todrick convention for this cast. I don't even see them all going to Vegas. You know, they usually go to Vegas together on the show. I don't even think that's going to happen. Yeah.
No. I think very few people are going to actually talk to each other after this.
I think so too. Seth in the chat said, I still think that's the move if Michael wins veto. Save Taylor and dare the house to vote Brittany out over Monty. I totally agree. They would definitely take the shot, I think, at Monty in that scenario. He's sitting pretty 2 weeks in a row, 1 week next to Jasmine, 1 week next to Brittany. Like, there's no way that they shouldn't take the shot at Monty if that's the case. And I think that they would all agree. And I think even Terence at that point would be like, yeah, if we can't take out Michael, we have to take out Monty this week.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of see maybe like the three of them staying strong, Taylor, Brittany, and Michael. And then maybe like just still having like some kind of a power structure in the house. Because then it'll be 3 versus 3. But I mean, that's a long shot of that happening. But I do think that's the right move for Michael, is to take Taylor off. Because I don't think they would end up taking Brittany out at the end of the day. Nah. That would be a huge misstep.
There you go. We already moved Brittany. D tier is getting stuck. You know, it's looking like the first week of Big Brother.
C and D tier. Yeah, it is, right? It is. Everybody's going back to where they were. And it feels like we're back at week 1 and 2. Yeah. They're all in the HOH room talking shit about Taylor. It's like, it feels like we're back to where we started, unfortunately.
It's sick. Man.
It is sick.
Yeah. All right. We got 2 people left. So let's talk about Monty.
Yep.
You know, there's people still kind of comparing him to X. I don't see it. I think Monty is his own player. I haven't really seen a Monty before. So, I mean, you know, it's weird. It's like, I think people not care, like him. They can, you know, stand him. He has no bad blood with anyone. But this is like a rare case where everyone is acknowledging that this guy is a threat and needs to go, yet no one's willing to take the shot at him, which is very bizarre. I don't know when they plan on taking him out, but it's like, I feel like Monty's more than capable to win a competition. Obviously he is. He won a freaking HOH. More than capable of winning a competition. More than capable of defeating many of these people in the jury vote. He's a smooth talker. A lot of people like him. Why are you not taking him out? Like you've all said at one point or another that Monty needs to go. Monty's a threat. Every single person in the house has said that by now. No one's willing to take the shot at him. So it's a little bizarre. I think Turner is probably the best case scenario for Monty this week, because I feel like almost anyone else might have taken the shot. Taylor, probably not. But everyone else, there's a small chance they would have took the shot at him. So it's like, I'm very curious how he moves and operates within the next 2 to 3 weeks, because I'm actually a little afraid for him. I don't really know what his end game plan is, but he's an interesting character. I don't really know what to make of him.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. And I get some of the Xavier comparisons as of like last week or now a little bit even this week because I feel like he goes between the sides of the house very well and I feel like Xavier was kind of the peacekeeper. Like he was really close with Derek F. He was good with Azza. He was good with Tiffany. And like those people didn't always get together and get along in that house last year. I mean, like, Kylan and Azza had it out a couple of times. Tiffany and Azza didn't get along. Derek F and Azza and Tiffany didn't get along. So X was kind of the glue. I feel like that kept a lot of those people together. And I think Monty is sort of similar in that way, where it's like he not as obvious, but I think he did a really good job last week of making everybody feel like he was with them. He made a Final Four with Brittany Taylor, Michael, and himself.
Yeah.
And now this week, he's like, as soon as the next morning, he's like back in the HOH room with Turner and Kyle and talking about like, oh, I can't stand any of these people, which is like more of rat than anything. But like, he's doing the same thing. Then he's going back last night and talking to Taylor and everybody else and is like, I don't know, something seems fishy. So it's like he is trying to play both sides, but I don't know where in his mind he sees himself going, because like who are the people you're gonna be? You have to pick a side eventually. We're getting down to final 6 after this week. Like you're gonna have to make a decision on your end game, and I don't know who he's planning on going with. And there is a chance that he goes this week. He is no doubt the replacement nominee if Michael wins the veto. He's at the bottom of this after party alliance. Alyssa doesn't want to work with him. Him and Terence don't really have a great relationship. I don't know how Monty's going to get to the end if he gets to the end, unless he sticks with a Taylor. But I don't know that can happen really either.
I think he's a little too passive as a player.
Yeah,
like I don't think
so
he's
too.
willing to like take control of situations. And I mean, I kind of had this issue. Someone else this season, I can't really think about it, but like I feel like he's just not willing to be the alpha male, like the guy just up front calling the shots. Like I feel like he's more than capable of it, and I do
Yeah.
feel like some people like a Taylor, like Terrence, even Turner, to be honest with you, will be like receptive to it. But he's not really allowing himself to do that. He's just kind of staying back, and I think that's going to come to his downfall at some point. So, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think if there was like a direct middle, that's exactly where he would be. That I feel like he has a chance to win if he sits next to like a majority of this cast, right? Um,
Yeah. I think he's
but
more likable than a
it's
lot of
it's
people.
but it's about like making it there,
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I'm not going to drop him personally yet, but I'm
Okay.
afraid for him within the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. It seems like originally last night, Kyle did some awful camera talk where he said, and my camera's frozen. I'm sorry about that. He said that he was going to make love to America's face, which is disgusting. But also in that conversation, he said, okay, Michael's a target this week, and then Taylor's a target next week, and then Monty. And then he kind of changed his tune and was saying, okay, Taylor or Michael now, then Monty, then Taylor. So it's like he's just moving up the list of targets. So if I'm Monty, I would want to keep a Michael in the game and work with him, because I'd rather duke it out at like 4 with Michael than take out the one bigger threat in front of me that could potentially, open it up now to make me the biggest threat to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's always going to be Michael in front of him for now. So like, why not keep Michael here for another week or two? I just don't. I don't feel like he should be going for Michael right now. I think that's a bad move for him.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Honestly, looking at it, I think Michael's the only one that could really like beat him in a jury vote. I don't know if that's. I don't know.
I think Taylor
Yeah,
could potentially beat him if she
maybe
got there.
it will go either way. It's interesting, but yeah.
Yeah.
But there you go. I don't know if you want to fix your camera or not. You are frozen still.
I
Uh,
know. I just have to leave the
yeah,
studio and come
go
back. So if
for
you
it.
want to
I'll
set up
just
Michael, I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. While Katie's doing that, um, so yeah, we're gonna keep Monty and B, but like it's very, very like slim. I'm kind of hoping to see something a little bit different from him. I need him to take some charge, because I am worried for him. But anyway, lastly on the list, while we wait for Katie to come back, is the person who's kind of been at the top of the list for the past couple of streams. It is Michael. and I'm a little afraid for him. There's a backdoor plan going on right now. The veto has not happened, but like if Taylor or Brittany or if anyone comes off the block, Michael's going on. And right now, Michael's in a situation where he needs to win or he's in danger. I don't know what particularly he's planning on doing. I'm a little afraid for him because if he stays on the block at any way, shape, or form next to anyone, he's out of here. I don't see anyone saving Michael over a lot of these people, unless you're like Kyle or maybe Alyssa, which I don't see either one of them going up on the block while Terrence is while Turner is HOH. I think Michael's like fate is sealed. So it's really coming down to this veto competition where that's kind of just how modern Big Brother is nowadays. Like it's coming down to these vetoes and he's really in danger. How do you feel about him, Katie?
I think it's almost. There's no chance that if he doesn't win the veto today, that he's staying in this house this week. They have the votes to get him out. They have the votes to do whatever they want, unless something really drastic happens and Michael can do something super impressive, which I don't know that he can. I mean, he's a good player, and unless he does this thing where he exposes Kyle for his racism, that's really the only way that like I think he can
Yeah.
potentially get Kyle up on the block. But even then, like, does Turner care? I don't know. Like, does it matter? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it could swing Monty back on his side. Taylor's already on his side. I don't know that Terence is such a wild card. Like, who knows if that how much of an effect that would have. It's also kind of gross as the criticism online has said that like you're saving this information to expose somebody for their racism and their problematic views just because it helps you in the game. Like that's not really a game I want to play. I want to watch someone play, but that's
Yeah.
really the only move he has left in his pocket. I think there's a lot of other information too that he has on Kyle that he could throw out there to expose him. I just don't know that it'll save him at this point. I think it's a long shot. We could see what happens, but yeah, I think he was picked for the veto. There's a lot of conflicting tweets about like whether he got picked or whether he didn't get picked. I think he did. So I think he has a chance. He could win. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think that's the only way he really stays in the house this week, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. I think he is the best player in the house right now. And you always hate to see those people go, especially a little on the earlier side. I mean, it's still relatively early in the jury phase. But what are you going to do?
Veto or bust for Michael. But look, he's won
Yeah, it's
many
veto or
competitions
bust.
this season, so there is a shot. But you know what? Only because he's in this situation, I'm gonna have to drop Michael.
Yeah,
Um,
I think also he put himself in this threat situation because he won so many competitions that he didn't have to win. Like, I get you're probably caught up in the moment of like, I'm a big brother and like I could beat Janelle's record, but
yeah,
you got to pump the brakes on it a little bit.
yeah. Are we keeping him in B?
If I'm being honest with you, I feel like everybody should be either C or B this week, but
That's fair.
I think even Monty and C because I
I'm
just
cool
don't
with that.
see. I think that's perfect. I think this is the perfect
Yeah,
order.
we're in a very fluid house right now, so
We
it's like
are.
everyone's just kind of in the middle. It's a weird house. I haven't seen this at all this season yet, but that's okay. It's a different game now. We're in a different scenario, and I'm very curious to see who comes out on top. Who's really going to take that initiative? Who's going to take that hit, that big move that's going to push them up there? We keep comparing the season to Big Brother 21, but Big Brother 21, everyone thought it was Tommy's game. The next thing
Yeah.
you know, it takes one eavesdrop session from Jackson Mickey to completely change everything. So you never know what's
Yep.
going to go on. It just depends on who's willing to make that big move. But I mean, it's almost the epiphany of what we kind of been saying this whole season. No one's really a standout from the season. This is one
No.
of the most neutral vanilla casts we've had in years, and they're kind of proving it right now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's for sure.
yeah,
That's for sure. Like we said last week and the weeks prior, like I don't think there's going to be an S tier at all this season. Not even close. We don't even have an A tier right now. I want to ask you though, given all the Big Brother 21 comparisons, who is worse in your mind, Kyle or Jackson Mickey?
as a player or a person.
The total package.
I think Jackson Mickey is horrible. I think
I
that's a
think
bad
Jackson Mickey's
person.
horrible too, but I think Kyle is giving him a run for his money.
I don't. The only thing is that the way Jackson Mickey basically like he would completely obviously the racism,
Mm-hmm.
the way he treated like David and Kemi. You got guilt tripping Holly to have sex with him, even though
Yeah,
she
that was
didn't want
pretty
to
rough.
do it in front of Fees. That was really nasty. I did not
Yeah.
like that one. Like she was like, I'm not comfortable doing this on camera. Then he would throw a fit. I was like, ugh, it's
Yeah.
kind of bad, man. Um, and he was also like a huge baby when it came to stuff like slop and everything. He was just oh yeah, he was a huge cheater too. I remember he used to eat and slop.
He was a huge cheater.
Horrible
I actually
person.
forgot about the sex stuff. So
Yeah,
that tanks him
yeah,
even lower
yeah,
to me because I was like him and Kyle are almost even to me right now.
yeah.
But yeah, I forgot about some of that stuff. I
Listen,
do
listen,
think the
when we
cheating
do,
stuff
oh god,
he was going through. He should have never been cast on the show. I mean, he
yeah,
was in withdrawals from
I remember.
yeah
Yeah,
from pills. He had an eating disorder. He was like a lot was happening with that guy at the time, and I don't know how he was able to make it through casting, which is crazy. Kind of
not a
another
casting
Paloma
issue.
situation. Yeah.
Listen, when we do our Big Brother season analysis, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm probably going to start from the newest to the oldest. I know a lot of people do
Ooh,
oldest to
that's
newest, but
fun. I like
newest
that.
to oldest because it's fresh in my mind. So
That's fun.
um, but yeah, here we are. That was fun. We're getting
Yeah.
to the point, and I'm happy about this, where there's not a bunch of people anymore. So like, you just focus on specific people instead of rushing them. It's not like a
Yeah.
slog fest anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Um, but yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. I think I'm excited to see who wins the veto. I don't know if they've started the competition yet. Probably not because they did the picks really late. So they also think there's going to be Zingbot this week. I don't know why they think that. Usually I think we get it teased a little earlier, but maybe they'll tease it on Sunday for us. But I'm excited to hear all the 10-second long jokes that Zingbot hopefully makes. And hopefully they make the show. But I don't know. You never know. They probably won't put it on the show for us, unfortunately.
Katie, my last question, because I haven't asked
Yeah.
this at all this season.
Mm-hmm.
What's the season on a scale of 1 to 10 going for you?
That's a good question. Typically by this time leading into final six, I'm usually dialed out a little bit because it feels like typically we already know who our winner is going to be. I think last year we knew Xavier was going to win, especially as soon as they started turning on Tiffany. Like Tiffany was our only hope, and we knew Kylan was never going to make it to the end. And Kylan had already become like, he had turned his face onto the evil side of Kylan at this point. So I think we kind of knew Xavier had it in the bag. Even Big Brother 22 was just terrible, boring. We knew Cody from the first week was going to win. I think Big Brother 21 was still a little wide open, and that's another season where as horrible as the people in that house were, it kept you interested week over week because everything was changing constantly. People were fighting. Christy was safe, and then she wasn't safe, and then she was safe again, and then she wasn't safe, and then the eavesdropping with Tommy. It was like these are the seasons that I feel like are a little more interesting to watch just because we just don't know what's going to happen. So for me, that puts it at a higher tier, even though a lot of these people are not rootable. I would say it's probably like a 7, maybe a 7.5. What about you?
It's like BB21 with very, 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 and don't take me wrong, very small hints of Big Brother 6 at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's right now it's still middle of the road for me because I kind of like to judge a season based off of who do I think, like how many returner candidates do you have right now? This is the new era. The previous season gave us a bunch of new people who I can see in like all stars and returnees. This one not so much. I'm only seeing like a Taylor return in the future one day. I'm iffy on
Could see a
Joseph.
Michael return.
Michael definitely could return. Joseph could hypothetically, but like the way I feel about him is like the same I feel about like Rohan from like Big Brother Canada. It's like you were
Yeah.
cool, but it's like, are you gonna come back? There's not many people outside of those two individuals that I'm like, I don't need to see them back. I don't know. I mean, I can see Big Brother be willing to bring Kyle back, actually. But
Maybe in
who
a
knows?
heroes versus villains season.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything blatantly crazy. Like he's done some like really bad like microaggression-y things, and like his strategy is very questionable, but like he's not on the levels that like I've seen in the past with some other players. You know, he's not Paloma, he's not Daniel, he's not Nicole. You know, like there's worse this season. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe
It's
those
hard. It's almost hard to think about how much worse some of the other people in this house were earlier in the
yeah,
season. Because
yeah,
Kyle is not the worst person on this
he's not.
cast. He is now. He's the worst one left.
Yeah,
But he's definitely not the worst. Like Daniel was 1,000 and remains worse on social media. Like he's still going off at every second, calling everyone a bozo. It's
Paloma
like,
too.
yeah, they're just embarrassing themselves at this point. But the problem is, I don't think Kyle's gonna go away after the season. Like where I feel like some of the more problematic players from the past have like just gone into their hole a little bit. Like Jackson is still around, but I don't think he really posts much about Big Brother. He's like not involved in the community at all. He's around doing whatever. But like I think this guy's gonna stick around. I mean, he already has like 500,000 TikTok followers from just
Yeah.
convulsing his body a couple of times and calling it a twerk. It's like, ugh, I don't know. But I don't know that he would come back, only because there's been so much negative press surrounding Kyle.
Yeah.
I mean, they had that E-News segment, they had Newsweek articles, the Daily Beast was
Yeah.
writing an article. I don't know that from a press standpoint they would want to condone that.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to get Julie Chen telling him that he was problematic at the end of the season like we got.
Oh, Julie
Jackson.
doesn't do that ever. She's
No.
done with that.
Yeah.
She's completely checked out. You know, she's a whole different Chen bot now. So,
Yep.
well, there you go. All right. I mean, Katie, what are you getting into? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, you can give me a follow if you would like to at Real Slim Katie on Twitter. You can also follow me on Twitch if you would like to keep up with me there at twitch.tv/Real Slim Katie with an underscore at the end. And I'm all over the place on Silent Podcast these days. Obviously, you can find me here every week talking Big Brother. You can also find me talking all things The Challenge USA with Carrie on TJ Hates Quitters. We've been having a ton of fun covering that season. I think it's coming to a close pretty soon, but it's delivering every week. I'm excited to talk about it every time it airs. You can also find Carrie and I talking all things Real Housewives on the Cool Water Show. We talk everything in the Real Housewives universe. And you can find myself, Josh Kettles, and Chanel on Fire and Pod recapping House of the Dragon. We dropped our first official episode this week. We dropped a preseason podcast the week before, and it's been a lot of fun so far to talk about. The show is surprisingly, it's good. So I think we were all coming in cautiously optimistic about it, given how Game of Thrones ended, if you're a Game of Thrones fan. But they came through, they delivered, and we're excited to cover it this season. So check us out there as well.
All right. Like usual, you can find me at 8 Ball Bangers on all social media, and find me as well on a bunch of podcasts on Silent Podcast. You can find me on the At the Movies podcast with Mark Levy. We just talked about Nope the last episode, and that was a very fun podcast. Love that movie. You can also find me on the Survivor Philadelphia retrospective, where I'm talking with other eliminated players, doing exit interviews, and got a Ponderosa series coming, so that's going to be fun. And then you can also find me so many things here. Obviously, bounce checks like usual. Love is Blind. The reunion's coming up, so me and Abby are definitely going to talk about that and drag people, because already 2 divorces got confirmed, which is ugly.
I can't wait to listen to that.
So horrible. And then lastly, you can find me on RHAP like usual, talking about Big Brother every now and then, and wherever else I lurk on around those streets. So, all right, until next week, we will see you, and hopefully with a better outcome with who's getting eliminated next week. Have a good one.